Sensors indicate we should be coming up on it soon. I'm not seeing anything though. It's quiet.
Like very dark and dank and like moist in
A
here.
little bit too, which is eerily quiet. What?
There's a light up ahead.
You see it behind you! Behind you!
Oh my god!
Behind you!
Oh my god!
There's shrimp everywhere!
Everywhere!
They're coming out of the ceiling!
Oh my god! Look, there's the head! Shoot the head!
It's a heart! I'll take the heart, you take the shrimp! I'll take the heart, you take the shrimp! Get down, get down, get down! Don't come right fire!
Look out!
Look out! His hand, look out! The spray gun!
No!
It's all over!
Just hit the reset button.
Welcome back, everybody, to Dodongo Dislikes, another gaming podcast, where, as you can plainly hear, Isiad and I just saved the country, nay, the world, nay, the universe.
I don't think we did. We hit the
extinction.
reset button.
But then we played through. What you didn't hear is then we played through and we kicked the game's ass.
Yeah, we only gave you
saved
the failure part.
life kind as we know it. You're very welcome. And this is... Did I already say this is Dodongo Dislikes? Yeah, I did.
Did you?
I think so. I don't remember. But it is. That's what you're listening to.
Congratulations for tuning in. We promised not to leave after 4 minutes or 2 minutes. It's already been 2 minutes.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this right now, then you're not listening to the sort of tease episode that we threw out just to as a kind of a buy us a little bit of time so we could get through Contra. We had a little bit of a mix up on which game we were going to be doing next. So obviously we're here to do Contra. And if you heard the little skit, then you know, and if you don't know, you don't know.
Horrible.
We'll hide it behind a paywall at some point, along with the Metal Gear that we deactivated several months ago. Rightfully
we did do
so.
Metal Gear margaritas.
That's when we learned to stop doing alcohol and podcasting in the same day, or at least margaritas.
It was Cinco de Mayo when we recorded that, and we had a bunch of. I mean, if you listen to it, then
you know. Unfortunately,
you know.
You
if
know.
you haven't listened to it, then you missed out.
All right, Contra. February 1987, we get exposed to Contra in the arcade, and then at some point it got released, ported onto the NES, which is what we played.
Didn't it come out on NES in 1987?
It came out. It came out in, I believe it came out in 87 on the Nintendo, but it originally released, I believe it was February of 87 in the arcades, and then they ported it to like a million systems. They ported it to PC, they ported it to the MSX, Commodore, a ton of systems got it, but the one that's really, that gets all the buzz, and rightfully so, was the NES port. And that is what we played for this podcast.
For 15 minutes. How long did you play it for? We played co-op for 30 minutes.
That's
maybe.
about all it takes to get through. You're either going to get through it or you're not going to get through it.
It's not a lot of meat to the bone, but it was always a good game for us to play when we were kids. If it was like raining outside, we could fire up Contra, and it was a short game that you could play through and get it done. And then maybe the rain would be stopped. Not one of your games that you owned?
No, not one that we owned. Our philosophy, or really my dad's philosophy on owned games, was to get the RPG style, the longer story, longer tailed, squeeze more juice out of the lemon kind of game. And this was one of those games we'd play through it, and then we'd move on.
I think I remember getting a game. There was a game called Breakthrough that my mom bought me, and I remember playing it and beating it within like an hour, and then having to go in and brag to her for some reason that I had beat it, and then she was very upset. She's like, "I can't believe that you beat that already. I'm never buying you another game again." So what your dad did kind of made sense, because these types of run and gun games, which was what Breakthrough was and what Contra was, usually once you beat them, it's just, what do you do with it after that? But they're still kind of fun to play and go back to.
And something we never really...
Contra was kind of fun to go back to.
It's got plenty of replay value, and you got a good co-op game, and there weren't too many of those in 1987 for the home consoles. But one thing we never really talked about before, and it's probably worth talking about now, is the price point on video games has really slid backwards over the past few decades. So these games were like $50 back in the 80s. And a brand new game now, they just recently started raising prices on Switch games, new release Switch games being closer to $70. But the prices of games hasn't really changed much in it's not 2 decades, in 3 decades. So when you consider the time value of money, these games were pretty damn expensive in 1987. So if you buy a game, you're going to want to get a game that you get more than 15 minutes of gameplay out of. As good as Contra is, it's 15 minutes of gameplay from beginning to end. Now, that's assuming you pick the controller up and you play through the game and beat it on your first try, which you're not going to do, even if you put in the Konami code.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Like, you get the Konami code, which helps a lot because it gives you 30 lives. Otherwise, you're only allowed 3 continues, I think. I might be thinking about something else, but Dodongo dislikes having a limited amount of continues. Like, I always feel like I'm being punished, and I may have said this or it may have come up before, but like, don't limit my continues. Like, there's no reason for it. Like, if I want a challenge, then I can limit myself on the continues, right? There's no reason to have only 3 continues. And maybe I'm thinking about the Super Star Wars game.
So you've brought this point up before in the past, and I agreed with you then, and I had a little bit of time to think about it, and I disagree with you now. So I think
Dodongo divided again.
We had Dodongo divided. I think that what the limited number of continues serves to do is to replicate that feeling of anxiety on arcade-based games that you had at the arcade when you only had a finite number of quarters in your pocket, and when they ran out, you were done. And so this game, you get 3 lives, unless you put in the Konami code, you get 30. And then in Super C, you put in the discount Konami code and get 10, which we can talk about that at a later podcast. But you get a finite amount of lives. When they're gone, you're done.
You're done.
You get a finite number of continues. When they're gone, you're done.
You're done?
Just like when you were in the arcade, you ran out of quarters, you were done. There was no, we keep going. You're out of money. You're done. And you'd be hard-pressed to get mom to give you any more.
Yeah, but as a 50-year-old man that works for a living and does 50 hours a week, I don't know why do I need to reproduce anxiety? Like, I got enough anxiety with bills and work and all that stuff. So
but this game wasn't designed for the 50-year-old idiot. This game was designed for you as an 11-year-old boy from Pallet Town.
But I don't want anxiety I got enough anxiety. I probably have even more anxiety at 11 years old. This stupid game making me continue it.
Play it on the Switch.
Destiny's. It's not on the Switch.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't rewind it. But usually with the Konami code was always enough. Like 30 lives is enough to get you through it. If you manage to hold on to that spread gun, then forget about it. That's easy mode enough. But I guess practicing through it. But if you can't continue, they're not practicing.
This game was a major breakthrough for Konami, for Nintendo. Would you agree that we've got to credit some games that predated it that kind of paved the way for this game? Like, the ones that come to mind for me are, in my opinion, lesser games, but necessary to get us to Contra. I think of Commando, Ikari Warriors, Russian Attack, all kind of led to the development of
Russian
like
Attack.
This.
Yeah, I remember that too. Ikari Warriors is one that I would play. I played a lot in the arcade. Not so much. I don't remember Contra ever being in the arcade. But Russian Attack was one that was a limited to continue, I think. It was a lot different because you had to stab people in that game, didn't you? Like, you didn't get a gun.
In Russian Attack, I think you started off with a knife.
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot of Russian Attack. I've played maybe a total of 30 minutes of that game. I really didn't play much of it.
But this is a Contra podcast.
Yeah, this is no Russian Attack. This is no Commando. It's no Ikari Wars. You know what else it isn't? This is no Metal Gear. We talked about in Metal Gear, you get dropped off into the jungle, you jump out of the helicopter, you and a couple of badasses, the music is blaring in the background, and you're pumped and ready to go, and then you realize, oh, I didn't bring anything with me but
a pack of cigarettes.
This is not the case in Contra. You came ready to go. Unlimited ammo, kind of a crappy weapon, but nevertheless, at least you brought a gun, and you brought plenty of bullets.
So, wait a second.
But,
all right, go on.
No, go.
I want to ask you a question, because I just don't know where the power-ups are coming from.
That's what I was just getting ready to touch on. You step it up from Metal Gear. At least you brought your weapon. At least you're ready to go. You got unlimited ammo, but we recognize as you go through the game, there's a lot better guns than the ones you came with, so why didn't you just bring the spread gun with you? You get these crappy guns, you got unlimited ammo, but then you got to rely on these flying drones. They're like the Hunger Games charity packages that show up and fly across the screen that you got to shoot at. in order to upgrade your weapons. Like, again, I go back to if the best gun in the game, which is undisputedly
the spread gun.
What is the S? Is it spread? Is it spray? Is it shotgun? Like, what's the S?
I think it's probably it would be safe to say that it's a shotgun because it just sort of goes out.
Okay. So the spreadable spray shotgun that shoots the giant red bullets.
So it's just an S.
Is the S gun.
So spread.
S gun. Spread. Whatever. Spray. Best weapon in the game. Why wasn't that the weapon that you jumped out of the helicopter with in the first place?
Is it alien technology, though? Because, so...
Oh, you think it's being flown in not for you?
Well, but wait a second. So the Hunger Games things may be flown in for you, but then there's also things that are, like, in the wall, in the base that come out. So... maybe it is alien technology.
What if the Hunger Games packages aren't meant for us?
Yeah, they're meant for the other people because you're not the only
people.
You're not the only humans, I guess, there, right? Because there's other humans on the island somehow.
So I think from reading through the manual and looking again, remember, we don't get anything external. We get whatever was packaged in the sealed copy of the game, and that's all we work off of. But based on what was in the game and what was in the manual, I believe everybody on that island is an alien, even the ones that are humanoid looking. But for the purposes of illustrating a point that I want to make, I'm going to just assume that some of these dudes working for Red Falcon are people.
They have to be.
They got to be. They look like people. They're people. Dodongo dislikes all of these people because why are they trying to stop you? You're trying to save the world and then, I guess, the whole universe from an advanced alien race. And these assholes are shooting at you. I didn't see any terrorist suicide bombers running after Will Smith on Independence Day trying to stop him.
That's what I call a close encounter.
There's no faction of extremists in New York City trying to gun down Thor and Iron Man in the Avengers. Why are these ass clowns out trying to stop Arnold and Stallone from saving life as we know it in the universe?
Maybe they were brainwashed.
It could be. So
because in Avengers, because the bow and arrow guy was fighting with Loki because he was...
So you think that Red Falcon is Loki?
It's
or employed Loki.
If anything,
or Loki-like
Ripley from Aliens, because the monster is clearly an alien, right?
Essence of Loki.
I would think that it's alien technology, but the games do this over and over again, where they import you into this impossible situation with the least valuable weapons, like you said, Metal Gear. The guy goes in and it's basically, we're just going to give you a pack of cigarettes, which I assume was his cigarettes, and then a radio, and then you just have to find everything you need from there. At least here you get kind of a gun, which isn't the worst weapon because...
That's what I was going to say, is you don't actually jump out of the helicopter with the worst weapon in the game.
Which is the laser, right?
Dodongo dislikes every power-up that isn't the spray gun, but the laser is hands down the worst.
Right.
Here's the problem, folks, with the laser. One, its range is it's slow. You
have to hold the button down or something. If you don't hold the button down, it just kind of goes.
If you hit it too rapidly, too rapidly, then the laser you originally fired is replaced with a new one. Yeah. So if you hit the button fast enough, it's just like running around with a lightsaber out in front of you. It's terrible.
Which I don't know. Like maybe it's more powerful than like all the other guns, but it just so you're giving up that fact that you have to stay in place and hold the button down to get a laser to come out, because it does shoot, but you have to, like I said, hold the button down. If you don't hold it down long enough, it retracts.
And it retracts
and does another one.
Like you're just constantly igniting and retracting a lightsaber.
Right. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
In my opinion, it's a terrible weapon.
And then there's the wave beam, which they stole from Samus, which maybe makes me think it's alien technology, which kind of maybe the aliens are the chorizos. What are the aliens in Metal Gear that have all
it's something. The
chozos or something. The chorizo sausage aliens.
The chorizo sausage aliens.
If you can get the spread gun or the
spray gun,
the shotgun, the S weapon, and then there's the R, which is rapid fire, which shoot.
Enhances your spread gun to make it shoot even faster.
Maybe if you had the R built up enough for your laser, the laser would be a better weapon. I can't imagine there's any planet that the laser would be a good weapon.
No.
The wave beam's okay, I guess. It's better than...
Is it a wave beam or is it a flame?
There's a flamethrower, too. There's a flamethrower, and then there's a machine gun. So I think
I like the machine gun.
The machine gun's nice. The flamethrower is kind of useless. And then the wave beam... Is there a flamethrower? I thought there was a flame gun.
I thought there was a flame gun.
But maybe that's the F. Maybe it is a flame. I don't know.
I think what you're thinking of is the wave beam is the flame gun, or vice versa.
We just avoid everything except for the machine gun and
the
spread weapon the shotgun. Maybe the S stands for shotgun. So you play as Bill and
Lance.
Who
are
one
obviously
of them is Arnold Schwarzenegger and who's the other guy?
The other one's Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
So much so, can we talk about the cover art?
Sure.
All right. So you got on the left-hand side, you obviously have Schwarzenegger from Predator. And so clearly ripped off from Predator. It's like somebody took tracing paper and stuck it over the top of a VHS copy of Predator.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
I'm sorry, Commando.
Because Predator
and
didn't
just
come
traced out a
1997.
drawing of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then boom, they slapped it on the left-hand side of the box.
And slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it.
Then you've got Stallone.
Yo, how you doing?
From
Rambo 2.
Rambo 2. Or First Blood 2, Rambo. Don't
First Blood
catch
Part
us up
2.
here. Whatever.
Second
From
Blood.
Rambo.
Why wasn't it named Second Blood?
Second Blood? It should have been Second Blood.
It's First Blood Part 2. Second Blood.
That's Second Blood.
That would be Two Bloods.
He's there. And then you've got the alien from Alien. You got a xenomorph in the middle.
Yep.
So you've triple ripped off.
So, it is almost like tooth for tooth a xenomorph from Alien. Like, there's no, it could be this or it could be that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, fine, Rambo, whatever. But this is an alien.
Oh, it's an
And
absolutely a
even in the
xenomorph.
video game, it's an alien.
It's an alien.
It's a queen alien. You're fighting that the facehuggers are coming out of the eggs and stuff.
The facehuggers are coming out of the eggs.
It's alien all the way.
And then in the last level, you've got those. I don't know how to describe them other than the alien that when they pop out of the stomach that comes up down from the screen. It's Alien. So you've got the trifecta of copyright infringement on the cover art, and then throughout the game they just sort of run with the whole Predator Alien thing.
So let's go backwards a little bit and talk about where you're at. You're in the Amazon, right?
You get dropped off in the Amazon.
Dropped off in the Amazon. The first level is a jungle. All right, fine. The second level is base 1. So I guess you're working your way
to the base from the jungle. If you can get past, I always get hung up by the guys that are standing up with the stand-up machine guns, and I always forget.
They come out of nowhere and they immediately start shooting. So if you're
right, I always forget to get down.
Dodongo dislikes guys that come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Once you get past the base, you're in a waterfall. So you're making your way up a waterfall, and there's just sort of a guy casually hanging out, shooting bombs at you in the waterfall. And my question is, how is he staying in the waterfall? I've never swam in a waterfall, but maybe he's hoisted himself up. It's always a weird thing because it's one of those games where it auto scrolls you up and you can't go back down. So it's especially difficult if you're playing 2-player. And a lot of times when I was playing this as a kid with my friends, it almost became worse than Monopoly, the fights that we get into when we would kill each other, from either going too fast or taking the shotgun or taking the weapon that we thought was good at the time. So
I'm envisioning, and back to this guy in the waterfall, I'm envisioning this guy on a precipice that's sticking out, just barely jutting out to the edge of the waterfall on the side of that cliff wall, and he's just
sort of
water
standing there with his head
beating down
out
around him, and he's in this little cave area, just sticking his head out, peeking, waiting, and he's been waiting for days, weeks, months, maybe, with a limited supply of rations. So actually, I envision it started off as 2 guys in the waterfall.
And the other guy ate the other one.
And he had to eat the other guy because he was down. I mean, if we hadn't shown up right when we did, he was going to drop dead from hunger within days. And that's why you notice when we were doing a playthrough, there's one guy in the waterfall, and he never does anything. He's there, he's got his gun, but he never shoots at you. And you can't see, he's in a weird spot where you can't really reach him to hit him, but he never shoots at you.
You can't shoot him until you think maybe once you get over them, because they'll wait for you to go past
right.
them.
But there's that one guy he never shoots. He's already dead.
He was too emaciated to lift up his gun. So after the waterfall, base 2, very clever. Here's what Dodongo Disc is. Level 5 is a snowfield. So I'm in the Amazon. Where is there a snowfield in the Amazon? There's no mountains. There's no snowfield when you're flying away with the helicopter at the end when you see the mountains and all, or the island. So I'm wondering where in the Amazon we're gonna find a snowfield.
I have a theory.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let me hear it because
I've got a theory.
They just randomly threw in a snowfield.
So we saved the universe. Again, you're welcome. We saved the universe from certain extinction. We saved planet Earth from immediate extinction. However, Red Falcon had a contingency plan in place, a devious one, and it was global cooling that he began in the Amazon. That is why you're seeing the snowy ice region within the Amazon. It's unnatural, and it is slowly going to destroy the local ecosystem and eventually swallow the Earth. We only prolonged the Earth's longevity, but ultimately, Red Falcon, if he wasn't going to take the whole universe, which he failed because we saved it, again, you're welcome, but he was going one way or another to take the Earth.
Through snow?
Through changing the climate, sending us us into a second ice age.
Is that in the manual? Or you just made that up?
No, I made that up.
Oh, okay. And then you get a couple mid bosses here in the snowfield that are just armored cars. The Dodongo dislikes the weakness of these armored cars. Like, you can just destroy them with a gun. Like, this is alien technology, right? The car's probably alien tech. Or are we going to just assume that the car is something that the Contra people brought? It looks like one of those zombie raider cars.
It looks like
and
it
you
belongs.
just shoot it
it
a
looks
bunch
like
of times and
in
it blows
Mad
up.
Max.
You shoot it a bunch of times and it blows up.
Well, okay, so here's
stupid.
Here's what I think. So this further provides evidence that the guys who are trying to stop you they're humans, because I think it is human technology. I think it is sort of Mad Max technology, largely that sits outside of the bases. And then even inside some of the bases, what do you face off against first? You've got humans, and then the little frog things. I think they look like Black Widow from Avengers jumping around shooting at you. But you have to run through the humans first before you get to the alien bosses, and then ultimately get to the final stage where you're just fighting aliens. I think the aliens recruited and put their was like Operation Human Shield. They've got the humans out on the front lines, and they're in the back.
But when do you meet the aliens though? So there's an alien at the second zone, the second base. Is there? No.
With the dangly arms.
Yeah, I guess. But then it's always people running at you. You don't really get aliens till the very end.
Yeah, because
except for the bosses, the couple bosses that show up, which is like the Mechanic guy from Masters of the Universe comes out at the energy zone.
Let's assume that we never made it to the aliens, and the humans they recruited actually stopped us. You think for a second those aliens were going to let those humans live just because they joined forces? No, they never do.
With them? Like, you get any movie where the humans are helping the aliens are always going to turn on them.
Yeah. Can we talk about how Red Falcon is just a ripoff of Mother Brain?
Is it?
Kinda. Yeah. Instead of a brain that's connected with tendrils to everything, and then has a bunch of apparatus around it coming after you, now it's a heart doing the exact same thing. I mean, if you put a brain there instead of a heart...
Is the name of the alien Red Falcon? Brain.
We contradict ourselves all the time on this podcast, but... Earlier I said we don't use anything except for the manual. The manual says that Red Falcon is the alien being, but I've seen things outside of it. I think they changed the story later with later Contra games, and Red Falcon is an organization. But in this game, it's Red Falcon is the
alien.
The brain thing, the heart.
Oh, the heart.
The heart.
Is that what it calls itself, or is that what we just sort of that's our code name for it?
Oh, it's probably unless we're led to believe that it came down and announced itself to the world and said, "I am Red Falcon." Then we gave it a name. I mean, everything everything we know has a human
that,
name.
That was the they found this alien in the Amazon, and then we're the Red Falcon. This is our alien baby that's going to take over the world. I don't know.
Who named this thing? If it was human named, who looked at this beating pink heart and named it Red Falcon?
But
no, it's not a brain. It's still a heart.
Well, so wait a second. It's the head that you have to blow up, and then you go inside the body and kill the heart. Is that what's happening? Because there's a level. You kill the head, you keep going forward, then that's where the heart is. So but the heart is twice as big as the head. It's really weird. So Red Falcon is just a heart? Or is it... I'm confused now.
So once you destroy the heart, so then
head
do you control
down, right? You shoot the little head
Kraken?
that blows up. It's a little bitty head. But once you destroy the heart, that's it.
That's it.
The game's over. You jump into the heart hole and fly your helicopter home.
Get to the chopper!
That's the game. You beat the alien, you're dead. I mean, it's a quick game. Like I said, we play it. It's a 15-minute game playthrough. If you're playing with somebody, it might take a little bit longer if you're by yourself, but you get 30 lives and you're done. I mean, it's not much. It's fun to play. It's a run and gun game. It's a shooter.
Short game, short episode.
Short game, short episode. Let's give it some bombs. And I always go to you first, so that way I can adjust my bombs if I feel like.
Bombs. This is a tough one to bomb because it is, at its core, a 15-minute game. But those 15 minutes are pretty much
if you know
perfect.
what you're doing. If you're a seasoned player with reflexes, even you and I, it was like a 30-minute run through. But
there's not much to the game, but it's an excellent port of an arcade experience, and I think because of the limited number of continues, it does replicate that same sense of anxiety that you got at the arcade. It's an excellent port on the NES. You couldn't ask for much more out of it, but it's a fairly hollow game. I'm gonna go 3.5 bombs.
I like that. Yeah, I agree, I guess, with everything you said. It was a game, like I said 100 times already. It's a game that we played on rainy days. It's a game that we played a lot. It was probably one of the top 5 most played games on my Nintendo, I would say. Does that put it in my top 5 list? No, it's just a game that, if I didn't have a friend over, I wouldn't play it. So it's one of those games that you reach for when someone was over. You didn't really reach for it as much when you were playing by yourself. It has more draw as a co-op game as it does its own, standalone single player game. So, having said all that, I also gave it 3.5 bombs. So we went from Dodongo Divided to Dodongo Reignited or
Reunited.
Reunited, not reignited. It's stupid. All right. Closing statements.
This is a game that 3.5 bombs I think is fair, but it's an important game and it's an important reminder. Games have become so complicated and they become such a draw on our time that they're exhausting. I can think of a handful of games that we played recently and that we're playing for upcoming podcasts that I'm just absolutely exhausted with because of the investment they take.
It takes
the reason that Contra is so easy to pick back up and come back into is you never get exhausted by it. You can pick it up at any point in time. You don't need to remember where you left off. You don't need to remember what you did before. It's simple fun. It is what it is. It's not exhausting. Games have become exhausting. I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted. that's a good point, and it's a good point to close on. So games have become exhausting. I'm gonna go play Dragon's Dogma.
Hasta la vista, baby.